Hello everyone and welcome to the Green Man channel. I hope you're doing good and well. So it's time for a new album review this Sunday, and this time I'm talking about the ninth studio album from folk metal band Eluveitie and their release Arm, which came out on Friday the 25th of April via Nuclear Blast. The album is 12 tracks and 41 minutes in length. And it's the first also to feature Leah Sophie Fisher on violin and hurdy-gurdy. So I am a pretty big fan of Eluveities, especially live. I've seen them twice live and I thought they were absolutely great. Really generate a great atmosphere, and the performances of everybody in the band was really terrific. You know, they let everybody shine. And albums wise, I like quite a significant chunk of their discography, I'd say. But having heard the singles for this album, they got me extremely excited for what was to come, because I especially liked the likes of Arven and the Prodigal Ones, and thought, this album could be really brilliant if the rest of it is like these singles. So the question almost for me was, is the rest of the album as good as the singles? And I have to admit, I don't think it really lives up to, for me, the excitement that was generated by those singles that I heard in advance of the album release. And I think that's for a few different reasons. For me, one of the things I've got to say, which I feel is like an elephant in the room for Eluveitie at the moment, and you guys may agree or disagree in the comments, but for me, they're missing a bit of a trick. For those of you that listened to Illumitie's album, Another Side of You, last year, it was absolutely fantastic and features Fabienne Ernie, the singer, and Jonas Wolff, the guitarist, both from the current Eluveitie lineup and on the lineup for this album. Yet I didn't feel the power or the high points of that Illuminate album coming through much on this Eluveitie record, with the exception of those singles, as I say, like that Arven single, which I thought was a phenomenal track, where we really hear Fabienne and those vocal highs and fantastic vocal lines. They were missing on quite a lot of the rest of this album. And I know Eluveitie are a folk metal band and they like to show off their folk abilities, and those will resonate with Eluveitie purists and Eluveitie fans. But when I hear what talents are kind of in this band, it kind of makes me surprised that they don't make more use of things like some more of Jonas Wolff's kind of guitar playing that we hear in Illuminate, or more of the Fabienne Ernie singing that's there, and it just kind of surprises me. So some of you may disagree with that and say, well, it's a different band, but for me, if you've got two great, you've got a sort of great potential within a band, I think you should really make use of it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at the cost of the stylistics of an album. You can sort of bring them in the way they do with the track Arven, whilst also using things like the tin whistle still and the hurdy-gurdy or whatever folk instruments they want to incorporate into the song. So it's just something for me which I noticed. I mean, I do think Eluveitie are a great band, as I say, but maybe sometimes they can be a little bit guilty of trading songwriting for sort of folk instrumental runs and things like that instead. And I think they would be better to draw out the best of their songs. But this, overall, as I may have mentioned earlier, if I didn't, I will say I still think it's a decent album. I still think it's a good record with tracks like Taranois on here, Arven, and I really enjoyed the last track, The Prophecy, actually, which I thought brought a great atmosphere into the mix. And on Taranois, I really enjoy the anguished growls of Krieger Glansman, the male vocalist in this band, and the aggressive start to this album was pretty cool as well, and that mixed things up nicely with Fabienne's vocals in that track. For me, more disappointing parts of this album were tracks like All Is One, which was more of a slightly generic ballad to me. Competently performed, but nothing too exciting there for me as far as ballads go anyway. Premonition was a little bit Eluveitie by the numbers. I think we've heard that track before on albums like Helvetios, for example. And Anam Cara, just an example for me of a spoken word kind of instrumental track, which for some some people will love that, others not so much. For me, I'm in the latter camp. I'm not so keen on those kind of tracks on Eluveitie albums, although I appreciate there are elements of storytelling going on and that kind of thing to bring the album together a bit for those kind of, I guess, Eluveitie purists, all the fans of this kind of sound and music. But yeah, for me, I just feel like this album was missing out on a big opportunity. Having heard Illumishade and what they can do, and the fact that we've got two Eluveitie band members in Illumishade, bring back some of those strengths from Illumishade and how good that band sounds into Eluveitie, because I think that, as demonstrated by the single Arven, it amplifies their strengths and their sound. And more songs like Arven, or more epic songs from Eluveitie, would have given this album a higher score for me personally. As it is, I still think it's a decent record, as I say, with the sort of standard kind of Eluveitie elements, and still overall pretty solid. But the singles were, just for me, head and shoulders above the other songs on the record, pretty much. So I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed the video. Do drop a like and a sub if you enjoy my content and my reviews. Otherwise, until the next review, we've got another one coming up on the channel. It is bye for now.